What's going on, guys? This is the RPO College Football Podcast, and I'm super excited to be here. I'm your humble host, Jerome Jones. You got my man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ray Roberts. How you doing, Ray?
I'm good, Jerome. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Hey, guess what? We finally got some college football. It wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't a full schedule. It's only week 0, but we got some football, and we're gonna talk about it today. I'm super excited about this because now we got more football this weekend that we want to talk about as well. So we're gonna do a little review of last week games, how we thought about those games. We're gonna talk about what we think about the upcoming games this upcoming week. But I want to get into some news that even Ray haven't even heard himself. You ready for this, Ray?
Yep.
All right, here we go. All right. There's some breaking news, guys, that just came down maybe a day or two ago. That the SEC conference for COVID-19 will force teams to forfeit the game if their team is unable to perform that game. So parallel from last year, where both teams had to just cancel the game and it was just a canceled game. Now the team that is not able to perform in that game will get a loss. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I'll look through this while talking, that if both teams can't perform, it becomes a tie. Ray, I want to know what's your initial reactions to this right away.
Um, I'm not surprised. I think the NFL kind of set the same thing up like a month ago that they were not going to that if you had to forfeit if you were going to not be able to play because of not having enough players to play the game, you're going to have to forfeit. Honestly, Jerome, they're trying to force people to get the vaccine because people are still trying to fight it. So,
Yeah, and this is literally what I was thinking as well. This is their underlining way to force people either to get the vaccine or to say, "Hey, y'all should be doing something because y'all gonna cause our team to forfeit games."
yeah.
So I think that you're on the nose with this, right? I think that this is like again a very underlining way to get them to get the vaccine. Um, do you think that this is a policy that might trickle down to other conferences and they might be like, hey, you know what, that might be a good idea, and they might actually do it?
I think that it's probably more than likely that they will. I'm not sure how many of them will, but I think that I just think that again they're just trying to force teams or players to be responsible, go get vaccinated, and because if say everybody's vaccinated and you still something happens where you can't play the game, at least you could say, well, we do what we needed to do. We can't help it now. If you my fear is that if we don't get vaccinated, and I've been saying this for a while now, that we're going to keep passing this disease back and forth between us. And then what should have been gone by now probably will be in a couple more years. So
Definitely. Um, so I'm gonna give the direct quote for those who have not heard about this. So the direct quote from SEC is: "An event a team is unable to begin or complete a regular season conference game due to the unavailability of participants due to COVID-19 injury or other reasons, that team will forfeit the contest and will be assigned a loss in the conference standing. That opposing team, I'm sorry, the opposing team that is ready to play will be credited a win in the conference standing. Both teams will be deemed to have played and completed the contest for purpose of um, the conference standings. If both teams are unable to complete due to unable due to the unavailability of participants due to COVID-19 injuries or other reasons, both teams shall be deemed to have forfeited the game with a loss assigned to both teams. That part I didn't say. And apply to the conference standings. Both teams will be deemed to have played and completed the contest and for purpose of the conference standings. Wow. Wow. Um, I think it's crazy because like you're gonna be forcing wins and losses in this conference. Like I can see you giving a team a loss, but completely giving a team a win. That's sticky situation, and the lineup of how things are gonna go in this conference. And obviously, what they're gonna say is, "Hey, you got it. You shouldn't have had it. Whatever. There's nothing we could do." But do you feel like if this had like all right, we had this situation last year where there was a specific rule for COVID-19 last year, and they totally overpassed it because it was if I'm not mistaken, it was Ohio State. It's a
Mm-hmm.
team like that. So if this happens to a team like Alabama or Georgia, you think they gonna might like reverse and be like, you know what? No, actually, it's okay that they, we're not gonna give them a loss because it's gonna mess up playoff implications.
You know what, though, Jerome? It's not going to matter anyway. You think if Alabama loses a game because they have to forfeit, that's going to go against them when the polls come out and the playoffs are all seeded? That's not going to matter.
That's true because it is
That's.
a
I mean, I
very
might. It's funny. I just got in the back of. I'm thinking it's not going to matter anyway because if Alabama loses to LSU via forfeit, they're not going to hold that against them when the polls and all the playoff stuff comes out. They're going to be like, okay, Alabama lost the game to LSU, but they didn't play the game. So Alabama's still one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country, if not the top team in the country. I'm not going to hold that against them.
so. All right, let's say like that happens, right? And typically, the for normal people, it's supposed to be for 2 weeks. So let's say that, God forbid, Alabama happens to be out 2 weeks, and within those 2 weeks, it's 2 games that they were supposed to play, and they're gonna lose. So Alabama sitting there with 2 losses in their column, you think they still make the playoffs, even though the playoff system is very human based, opinionated kind of thing.
That's why they'll make it
That's
because
crazy.
it's not just throwing numbers into a computer and saying this team was 12-0, this team was 10-2. It's what do as a person who puts this all together, what do I think about Alabama? What do I think about Penn State? What do I think about Michigan? What do I think about LSU? What do I think about Georgia? You think if Georgia were to beat Alabama via forfeit, that they're going to put Georgia above Alabama in the poll? They're not.
That's crazy. Well, that would be a crazy situation. I know if that happens, people are gonna flip.
Think about it though, Jerome. Now you're an impartial fan like I am. Neither one of us have anything to do with the SEC. You're a Big Ten fan.
Correct.
Notre Dame's an independent. It doesn't rub us either way. Would
Mhm.
you put Alabama above Georgia because they lost via forfeit?
I'm gonna say no.
Nah, you can't.
Realistically, I wouldn't. Realistically, I wouldn't.
You
No.
can't. You just
Yeah.
can't. You can't say that. You can't say with a straight face. Alabama should be ranked ahead of Alabama. I mean, I'm sorry, Georgia should be ranked ahead of Alabama because they lost via forfeit. You can't do it.
Yeah. The only reason I hesitated a little bit is because Alabama is working with a young quarterback now,
They are.
and let's say if it was they had to forfeit some of those highly, anticipated games like a Georgia, and they lose because they had to forfeit that game, how much would that affect? Because all right, let's say hypothetically the same situation happens. I mean, that situation happens, but Georgia is undefeated now throughout the season, and they got that W against Alabama. It's like
The only way
hard.
that would hold that argument would hold water is if Alabama were to lose to like Texas A&M. If they
Yeah.
lose to Texas A&M, then you make well maybe Georgia can beat them.
Okay. Yeah. That's true. Man, that's a crazy situation, man. That's a crazy situation. And hopefully that it doesn't come to that, but that's a crazy situation. I mean, out of everything that we've seen last year, we shouldn't be surprised with any bad or crazy situations. But That would be crazy.
I would, if I were running the teams, I would basically have everything. Like for one, I would try to tell my players it's very important that they get vaccinated. And if they don't want to or don't think they need to, I'm not going to hold it against them. But if you're not going to, then you need to act the same way as you did last year during COVID. You need to
Yeah.
keep gloves on, change your gloves a lot, wash your hands a lot, wear a mask. If you don't want to be bothered with any of that stuff, then get vaccinated. That's all.
I agree. Well, we'll see what happens this year, man. This year's gonna be a crazy year. And as we talked about in the beginning, the season already started. So we got some games that went down. Me and Ray are gonna talk about week 0 reviews. So we're gonna review what's been going on in week 0. And let's talk about it, Ray. First thing I'm gonna say about week 0, blow out Central. We have 1, 2. There's only 5 games. 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 5 games were blowouts. One of them, the team was leading for most of the game. So let's talk about it. I'm just gonna get some of the scores for some of these games. You can get a quick analysis on some of them, Ray. But obviously, the one we're gonna really want to dive into is the Illinois versus Nebraska game, and that's the game that me and you both said, Ray, was a game that we thought was probably going to be a better game. It wasn't really a better game. Like I said, I think the one team had the game for most of the game, and then the other team started coming back a little bit. But let's talk about, Fresno versus UConn. UConn got shut out. Fresno 45-0 on UConn. Anything you want to mention on that game, Ray?
I mean, it's pretty simple to figure out. Fresno State had, 500 yards of offense, and UConn had 107. I mean, pretty simple, man. It was really not a competitive game at all. I mean, I watched a quarter, and then I watched the highlights. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, some games you just can't always watch.
Yeah.
All right, the next game will be UCLA versus
Hawaii.
Yeah. It was 44-10. Another blowout game. Anything you want to mention on that game, bro?
That one I watched a little more of, only because there was no other game on at the time, and it was a little later in the day. I mean, UCLA played really well. They ran the ball for over 250 yards.
Yeah. And my guy Cabernet went crazy in that game.
He averaged 17 yards a carry. He only ran the ball six times, 106 yards. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you can't. I mean, that's one of them. If you can't stop a team from running like that, you have no chance.
Yeah. If you guys don't know, Zach Cabernet played for the Michigan. He transferred, unfortunately.
Of course he did.
Just like everybody else. Everybody just transferred from my school. It's cool. Whatever. I don't care. Anyway, I'm not upset.
Nah, it doesn't sound like it.
No feelings over here. I'm a man. I don't have no feelings.
Exactly.
All right, let's get to it. Let's talk about the next game. UTEP versus New Mexico State. I think we thought this game would be a little bit closer. It was another blowout, 30-3. Ray, any quick things you want to talk about that one?
Again, UTEP over 200 yards of rushing offense. 500 yards of total offense, where New Mexico had 100 yards rushing and 89 yards passing. I mean, you're not going to win many games that way. You're just not.
Yeah, that game was way too one-sided.
Yeah, it was just really, there was one decent game, and even like you said, the Illinois-Nebraska game was only decent because Nebraska started to come back at the end and made it competitive. Before that, it looked like Illinois was going to blow them off the field too. They were like whooping up on them, to be honest with you. I was surprised.
We're going to talk about that one in a second, but let's get to the next to last one. South Utah versus San Diego. I'm sorry, I always say San Diego every time I talk.
San Jose State. Yeah.
San Jose State. 45-14. Ray, did you even have a chance to watch that?
I watched again a quarter, and then at the quarter it was like 24-0, and I was
Yeah.
like, I don't really need to watch this anymore. I mean,
Those
like,
West Coast games, especially when it's on,
yeah,
it's
there's not a
so hard
good
to watch.
game.
They're so hard to watch. I'm
There
sorry.
was
We're
some.
on the. If you guys don't know, we're on the East Coast, so it's like watching those West Coast games for us is hard.
I mean, there was some football stuff going on, NFL stuff,
Yeah,
some interviews. I was like, I'm trying to, even though I know we don't really, like, I know you do some NFL stuff. I really don't.
yeah,
I'm still a fan, though. And I mean, I still
right,
follow my team and try
right.
to follow what's going on now with, like, training camp and cutting, guys getting cut, guys getting re signed.
Yeah.
Every other day, I'm hearing that I'm getting a new quarterback. It's crazy stuff.
Say that for another podcast.
I got you.
Man, we need to get Ray his own Dolphins podcast.
There you go. You know what, Jerome? It's honestly not to toot my own horn. I listened to about 5 of them, and I listened to one good one out of 5.
Wow.
One where the guys come across knowledgeable, kind of knowing what they're talking about, and it's interesting. I don't want to sound like a snob, but if I hear somebody that I know they don't know what they're talking about, I'm sorry, I just shut them off. I do. I can't listen to that. I just can't.
Hopefully your listeners right now are not doing it to us.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, like, get me wrong. You don't have to be as knowledgeable as I feel like we are, even.
Correct.
But when I hear you say things that I know are flat out wrong,
Yeah.
and it's not opinion, it's fact, stat, something that I know it's wrong.
Correct.
I mean, I can go back and forth with people about how I thought Justin Herbert was the best quarterback in the draft 2 years ago, and everybody told me I was crazy, but I won't go there.
We won't go. All right, let's get to the game that we've been talking about. Let's get to the game we've been talking about the whole time. Illinois versus Nebraska. Again, this game started off with a safety for Illinois, and Illinois just kind of took off from there. It was at halftime. It was only 16-9. Illinois started pulling away, and then Nebraska started climbing back just a little bit at the end, but ultimately winning 30-33. Ray, what do you think about this game? I mean, it's been kind of balanced on both sides with the running game and the passing game. Anything stick out to you?
Adrian Martinez is a very athletic young quarterback from Nebraska, and is a promising young player, but he's very frantic, man. Like, he's up and down, up and down. I mean, his completion percentage was only 50%, but he had a nice game if you look at his stats, except for him only completing half of his passes, and he looks the part. He does. He looks very athletic. He looks like a nice little player, but he's just up and down, like the passes that he needs to make. And it really wasn't his fault. Illinois had a good game plan. They ran the ball for 170 yards as a team. So they controlled the clock a lot of the game. And I felt like maybe Martinez thought, I have to make a play. We're falling too far behind. And he was right. He was maybe they were leaning on him a little too much. Need to get the running game a little more involved in it, I think. So
yeah, I mean, and to get to what Ray's saying about the stats, Martinez had 16 for 32, 232 yards passing, and a touchdown. And on top of that, he had 111 rushing yards and with a touchdown. One of those rushes was on a 75-yarder, which is the crazy play that kind of broke the game. Illinois, started off very slow. I thought they had a really good balance with their team. Their starting quarterback, Sikowski. He was 12 for 15, 124 yards, 2 touchdowns. He got spelled a little bit by Brandon Peters, another Michigan guy that transferred on us. I just had to point that out. But yeah, the running game was really good. Epstein
Mike
75,
Epstein, the running back.
75 yards, touchdown. It had some good contributors with Love 45 yards, and Brown with 25 yards. Um, yeah, this game it wasn't what I thought at first, right? I really thought it was going to be more of a back and forth or a very defensive game, and it didn't feel like that for me at all. It was just like
It
it was
was
had it the entire time, and Nebraska started creeping back.
yes. Illinois did a lot of good things, controlling the ball, controlling
Yeah,
the game as much as they could.
yeah.
And again, every time Nebraska would try to mount a comeback,
Mhm.
they would shoot themselves in the foot somehow or other. And
Yeah,
just, I actually thought Nebraska was going to win the game. I did, but I was
I agree.
surprised.
I agree. No, that was my pick to start the game. I thought
Yeah,
that's going to be the one winning. It was a very surprising game. I mean, it was the most solid game the whole week. So, as you've seen, there was all blowouts except that one. So,
yeah. I mean, the thing is that Martinez had 17 rushes and he,
yeah,
111 yards,
that's a lot of
but
rushes.
no one else ran the ball more than a handful of times.
Exactly,
I don't get
exactly.
that, man. Like,
He led the team in rushing yards and rushing attempts.
yeah, I mean, and again,
And did you say 17? It was 19 rushes. I mean attempts.
I have 17, but
I have
that's
19.
it's
Okay.
possible.
You never know these stats.
Yeah,
All right,
I got 17 rushes for 111 yards, but that's
definitely, definitely. All right. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna talk about some of the next games coming up. We do have a game that's coming up actually in 13 minutes. UAB and Jacksonville State. Obviously, we already know who's running Jacksonville State right now, Mr. Dion. Ray, any expectations from this game? I mean, I think the whole Coach Dion thing might help with this.
um. I'll be honest with you, Jerome. I have UAB as a 16-point favored, so
Woo.
yeah, I don't see where anything happens for UAB win the game. But I mean, I root for the underdog, and I'm hoping Dion does a good job down there. I know he's excitable. He's an excitable
Yeah,
guy, and he probably has his players, thinking they could probably do some things, but we'll see.
definitely, definitely.
At least it's a game, so I mean, I'll watch some of it.
Yeah, that's a tough game for them to win, to be honest.
It is. It is. I mean, I
But
think you'll see Dion maybe next year, the year after, maybe he's more competitive in this type of a game. I
yeah,
think. I mean, he obviously knows football. I mean, the problem is with him is, again, once after the excitement is over about Deion Sanders being the coach, can he coach, like coach? I mean, I know he can coach defensive backs, and I know he probably can coach some defense, but can he get the most out of both sides of the ball? Can he, again, I think people are going to respect him. He's Deion Sanders, man. I mean,
all
I
right.
you know,
I made it. I made an error. All right. So that is not the school that Dion coaches at. Let me hold on. Dion, Deion Sanders coaches at. Where is it? Where is
oh
it?
yeah, he's.
Yeah, I made a mistake on that one. He's at Jackson State,
Jackson State, right?
Jacksonville State, Jackson State. You guys gotta understand that era. Come on, guys. But yeah, I see what you're saying. That UAB is a team that had some good games last year, and I think they're gonna roll over Jacksonville State, not Jackson
Yeah.
State. All right. All right. I'm just gonna rabble on a couple of games, and we can kind of dive into some of those. Let's get into Boise State versus USC, right? And that's gonna be at 7 o'clock on Thursday night.
I have Boise State winning the game. If that's what you're asking me.
Yeah,
They're 5-point favored, so
definitely. You how much you have them by, right? or you going straight by the points spread?
Well, the over under is 68.
Mhm.
I believe Boise State's is favored by 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly what I have. So I think Boise State will win. I think this is going to be a closer game than most people think, though. I think it's going to be a good game.
I think it should be okay. I think Central Florida has some good defensive players. I think it'll be a
Mhm.
decent game. I
Yeah,
don't think 68 over under though, man. That's a lot of points.
that is a lot of points. I don't know why it's that high. That's crazy. And
Yeah.
I lost my position. Let's see.
Well, Boise is a kind of team that likes to run it up a little bit once they get some, you know, once they're moving the ball and they like to run it up a little bit. So
Definitely, definitely. All right, let's see. Got that. All right, let's talk about the. I wanted to say Coastal Carolina, but they're playing Senegal, and I finally got to say that name right after all these years. All right, let's go. UNC versus South Carolina. I'm sorry, South Florida. That's gonna be also tomorrow at 7:30. Ray, who you got winning that game?
USC versus South Florida. Let me see if I can
U-
find them on my notes
UNC,
here, bro.
UNC State,
Who is it?
UNC State.
Who's favored in the game, Jerome?
That I don't know.
Wow. It is pouring here right now, and all I can hear is
That's
water running.
is
You
that what
hear
I'm
that?
hearing?
Yes, you hear water running.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
It's nice.
absolutely crazy right now how hard it's raining.
Nice clear skies in Georgia.
Yeah,
I couldn't say that about yesterday. Yesterday was crazy. Yesterday was definitely
weather
crazy.
down there was bad.
Yeah, it was raining like crazy. All right. If you don't have that spread, we can move on to the next one.
Don't have that, Jerome. Let me close my door. I can't hear anything.
All right. With that being said, we are. This is what happens when you live, baby. Natural things happen. You got the weather going on. Ray can't even hear me. Yeah, it happens. Live podcast.
I
It's
can hear you
happening.
now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Like I said, let's move on to another game. Ohio State versus Minnesota. All right. We already know who we both gonna pick in that game. Do Minnesota have any type of chance to at least look solid? I'm not even gonna say good. I'm gonna say
I
solid.
on
Okay.
Ohio State's a 14-point favorite. I don't know, man. I just think that I think honestly this is going to be one of the tougher games they have all year. To be honest with you, I
Yeah.
do. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I do.
For Ohio State?
No, yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think they're going to lose, but I think it's going to be a
Oh
good game.
no. Oh really? Okay.
Yeah,
Um. So what makes you think that Minnesota is gonna give them a good game?
I
Because
think they're a good. I think they're a good team. They're a well coached team. I think Ohio State will be good, but they still have a lot of young players are getting in there right now.
yeah,
And I think if anybody has a shot at doing anything, then it's going to be a pretty good Minnesota team. I think after this, they might not lose a game till playoff time. To be
yeah.
honest with you,
I mean, they do have a young new quarterback and CJ Stout. So he got announced as the quarterback. I think about a week ago. Um, it's gonna be very let's see what happens with him kind of deal. You know, Minnesota got a good defense. I'm not a fan of Tanner Morgan. Um, I don't I don't know how he's gonna be. I mean, he's a veteran that's going to be on the field. Will he be the better player though?
I like Tanner Morgan. I liked him better after 2019 than I did after last year because he struggled a little bit last year.
A lot last year.
He did, but I look at him like I look at Brock Purdy, two guys that I expected big things from last year, and they both kind of let me down a little bit. So
Yeah. All right. Well, wonder what quarterback's going to emerge out of there. Let's get to the next game. Let's get to UNC versus Virginia Tech. Now, we all know all the situation that's going on in UNC. You know, they still got Sam Howell, but they lost a lot of weapons, including four prime time players on that offense, obviously being their two receivers and their two running backs. So they're gonna have a lot of new weapons with them. And we all know Virginia Tech is known for their defenses. So how do you see this playing out, right?
I think North Carolina is going to win a fairly close game. I
Hmm.
do. I think that over under is only 64, which is about where I expect it to be.
Yeah.
But North Carolina is a 5.5 point favorite, so I mean I
Uh,
expect them to win, but I expect it to be a pretty good game. I do. So
yeah, and Carolina is away, right?
yeah,
So yeah, they're away.
yeah,
Wow. Okay. Um, I think that I agree with you. I think that UNC is gonna win. I think, in my opinion, the reason they have to win is Sam Howell's gonna have to carry the team. I think this is the first time he's gonna have to do this, and I'm very curious how to see how he does because, like I said, Virginia Tech defenses are nothing to just play around with. Like they usually have a good defense every year, and I want to see how he performs in the first game of the season without his handicap because last year the team struggled sometimes and it was like more of an identity crisis. Now that they don't have the running backs, you're gonna have to kind of lean on somehow.
I just think that it is going to be a good game. I agree with you that Sam Howell is going to have to find new players to be his guys this year. But I think he'll do okay.
Yeah,
I think honestly that he's going to be that guy that people are going to scrutinize a lot this year because some people have him being as like a top five, at least no worse than a top 10 pick this year coming into the draft. And if he goes in here and balls out, that'll be right. But if he doesn't, if he struggles for any reason, see, he's not as good as he was last year with that running game. You know what I mean? So,
exactly, exactly. So we'll definitely see with that. But this is the year that's gonna help him get that draft status. I mean, is it gonna be up where most people think he's gonna be in that first round, or it's gonna fall down because inconsistency and he can't show that he can be a good quarterback without the weapons that he used to have.
I
So
mean, no quarterback is going to be good without weapons.
that's true.
But he had, like you said, he had a lot of good players last year, including two running backs that were both taken like in the second and fourth round.
Hmm.
And some people thought their other running back was going to go before that. So,
Yeah,
and last year in the games where they couldn't run the ball was when North Carolina struggled. So we'll
yeah,
see.
that's definitely true. So we'll definitely see how that goes. Next game we're going to talk about is Michigan State versus Northwestern. Obviously, this is a Big Ten game, first of the year. Michigan State is going to Northwestern. We talked about Northwestern before, Ray. Do you think Northwestern's going to win this game
I do.
by a lot?
No, I think it's going to be a fairly close game. I think
I
Michigan
agree.
State's defense is fairly good. I think that the over under is only 45, which tells me a lot about where they think the game is going to go. So,
Correct. Yeah, I agree. I think Northwestern's going to win. Again, like we always say, that tough, gritty team that's really smart. I think they're a really smart team, and it's one of those teams that just don't really go away. You know.
mm-hmm.
So I think they're going to get the first win in this one.
I
All
think
right, cool, cool. All right, let's get to our next one. Stanford versus Kansas State. Ray, what do you think about this one?
Stanford's going to win the game pretty easily. To be honest with you, I do. I think that David Shaw has struggled the last couple of years, and the reason why he struggled is because they've started out really slowly the last couple of years. I think there's an emphasis with Stanford to start strong this year. I think they're going to win pretty easily, actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually give it to Kansas State. I mean, the reason why, and I don't know the spread, Ray. Do you have the spread on that?
The spread on that is Kansas State is actually favored by 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm taking. They have their running game. You know how I feel about Deuce Vaughn, one of my favorite college football running backs in the league right now. Um, they got the strong running game. They still got Skyler. coming back from his injury from last year. They really struggled without him. When he was in the game, they were starting up the year really well. So I expect that again this year. Um, and Stanford is a question mark for me. I mean, they lost their starting quarterback, David Mills, that went to the Texans. So I just think that with the experience that Kansas State is going to have, and that run again, I think they're going to pull off the win. All right, we got a good one right here. Penn State versus Wisconsin. Who you got in that one, Ray?
Wow. What is the line in that game, Jerome? I don't see that here right now. Penn State versus Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Still don't see it. Where the heck is that game at? Penn State. Do you know what the line is in the game, Jerome?
I do not have the line at the moment. Let's see if I heard it.
Penn State versus Wisconsin. I don't see that game for some reason.
All right, you have a assessment on them?
Honestly, I think Penn State will probably win the game, but I think it's going to be really close. I do.
Definitely. I'm trying to find an odds for you. Let me see. So the odds for this game is. Sorry, I'm taking so long to find it because for some reason it's just popping up.
Actually, Wisconsin's favored by 5.5.
There you go. There you go. And who did you pick?
I took Penn State.
Yeah, I'm taking Wisconsin too, and I'm not just doing that for the odds. The reason why is that Penn State still has Clifford. He still got fun. Listen, I'm not a big fan of the guy. Very inconsistent. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback, to be honest. They lost some big pieces in having Michael Parsons on defense. He was like the heart and soul of that defense. I still think their defense is really good. Don't get me wrong. I just think without him having Sean Clifford, they don't have Journey Brown now. Being can't play from a heart issue. I do like Noah Smith. I think he's going to be a really good running back for them this year. And I think he got injured last year too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he got injured too. But I think he's going to be a really good running back for them. I think they need to rely on their running backs again. But I just think that I think I'm gonna give it to Wisconsin. I think they're just a better team this year, and yeah. All right, let's get to our next game. I was gonna say Michigan, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that to you guys. I'll be nice. Let's see. What's another good one? West Virginia versus Maryland. Ray, who you got on that one?
I got West Virginia in that pretty easily, actually.
Yeah. I am intrigued. I'm gonna go West Virginia as well. I am intrigued to see how these receivers for Miami plays. I mean, sorry, that's their Miami. I'm gonna say Maryland. I am intrigued because 2 years ago they got the number one receiver in the country. So I want to see how their receiving team game goes with them because that was a surprise for everybody. It was like, whoa, the number one receiver going to a team like Miami. I mean, it's not Miami, Maryland. I thought that was a little intriguing. So I would like to see how their offense will be this year, having a year under their belts and stuff like that. Let's get to our next game. I got Indiana versus Iowa. That's going to be a better game. But Ray, who you got in that one?
I'm going to take Iowa in that one. I think it's
Really?
going to be a really close game, though. I do.
I'm leaning toward. It is a close game, and this is not a slam dunk pick for me, but I'm leaning a little bit towards Indiana. Michael Penix, I really think he's going to be the difference maker in this game. They got Ty Frogel. I think he's I'm saying it right? Ty Frogel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's a premier wide receiver for him as well. So I think their offense is going to be good. They took off last year. I don't think that was a complete fluke. I don't think they're gonna. I'm not sure if they're gonna be as good as they were last year, but I think this year they're gonna be a lot better. Iowa definitely have a really good team though, and they always do have that stout defense.
Yeah, I just think that Indiana is first game away from home, first game of the season.
Yeah.
I think Iowa will be ready to play. I mean, I'm taking Iowa. I think it's gonna be a really good game, though. I think it could go either way. I'm just leaning towards Iowa just because they're home. To be honest with you, you know.
Okay. All right. Let's get to our next game. We got Alabama versus Miami. Will Alabama have the COVID? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. That wasn't funny. That wasn't funny. I'm sorry. But obviously we both picking Alabama in this one, right? Is there any chance that Miami have any kind of chance in this? Like we keep talking about
Yeah,
young
Alabama has to forfeit.
Young's first game of the season.
Yeah.
Any struggles at all?
Um, I think the first half will be close, only because Alabama has a lot of new players. They're trying to get
Yeah,
acclimated to what Alabama is. But I think when it's all said and done, they win by 20.
okay. I like it. I like it. I'm going the same way. I'm gonna go by 16. I think it's just slightly a little bit closer. But I think that Alabama's gonna pull it off. I know De'Aaron King's down there, and people are excited to see what he does. But that Alabama defense is just gonna be too much for him.
It's the thing, like Alabama's physical up front, and I don't see De'Aaron King getting outside and making a whole lot of plays in this game. I'm not saying he won't make any because he will.
Yeah,
If you're going to make enough to beat Alabama, I don't see that. I think what they'll do is they'll contain him in the pocket, try to not let him get outside, and Alabama's secondary. I mean, come on,
definitely,
you know.
definitely. All right, let's get to this game. This game is a little intriguing, and it might be a sleeper game that most people will not think about. Louisiana Tech, who had a great year last year, versus Mississippi State.
Louisiana Tech versus Mississippi State. You know what? I'm going to take Mississippi because they're favored by 23. Okay.
Wow, 23.
23, Jerome.
Jeez, how much? Who did? I guess Louisiana Tech lost a lot of players. I guess. Jeez,
They are
Am I mistaken?
yeah, the over under is 52 and a half, and they're 23-point underdogs.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Uh, not Louisiana State. I meant to say Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, I got it.
Didn't get that. Wow. All right, what was the record? I'm trying to look at the record from last year. Because if I'm not mistaken, it was undefeated for a minute.
They were.
Uh,
They were not a bad team last year.
Yeah, but the conference, I guess.
Yeah, they're playing an SEC team. You know,
Conference USA. Yeah, that is a big margin. That's such a huge
it
margin.
is.
Jeez. Honestly, I think that might change a little bit. I don't think it's gonna be that high by game time. That's really high. I was not expecting that at all. All right, let's get to the next game then. Let's see what we got here. So many good games. Well, so many games. Oh, I'm not sure about good games. Let's go Oregon State versus Purdue. You got on that one, right?
Oregon State, Purdue. Oregon State, Purdue. I don't see that one either. You know what? Oregon State, Purdue. I'm gonna go Purdue in that game.
Okay.
I am. I'm not even sure what the line is, but I just think Purdue is a more physical team. Oregon State is more of a finesse type team.
Yeah.
Even though they do have decent offensive line. I just think Purdue. I think Brock Purdy is going to come out and play well this season. I do. I think he's going to step up and have a better season this year than he did last year. So
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Oregon State. Like I said in one of our previous podcasts, I really like their quarterback. Young quarterback. He's very athletic. I think that's gonna be a good I just think that Purdue might not be able to handle him because he's not one of those guys that a lot of people are talking about, you know. And I think that they're gonna have a good game. I'm trying to find the line.
I'm looking too.
Uh, the spread is Purdue 6.5.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Purdue is at home, so that helps
Yeah.
them as well.
Yes.
So it's a little bit closer than it is indicated, but um, they are saying Purdue to win that game. All right, let's get to our next game then. Let's do. Guys, I promise next week we're going to be a little bit more organized than this. All right, we're going to talk about that game last because obviously that's going to be the game of the season. So let's do LSU versus UCLA. We already seen how UCLA played already. Um, what you think? How do you think they're going to do? Right?
Um, you know what? I'm gonna take LSU in that game.
Yeah.
I am.
I'm,
I think.
okay.
I think that LSU is favored by 3 and they're on the road. I think they're a better, more physical team.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was impressed by how well USC played the other day. But I
Yeah.
don't think they're going to be able to run against LSU the way they did. So
Yeah, I agree with that. I just think that I like LSU's defense. I'm encouraged by Miles Brennan. I think that's his name, the quarterback for LSU.
mm-hmm.
Um, and UCLA, although their quarterback is really good too. I think it's Thompson something. I forgot how you say his.
Yeah, Thompson Robinson. Yeah, he's like
Thompson
3
Robinson.
different names. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's a good quarterback too. Actually, they're kind of comparable.
They are very athletic guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I honestly think I really like that game. I think that's a good game to watch that night. If you're not watching this last game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game. I think
Yeah,
LSU came out, ran the ball really well in their first game.
yeah,
Probably feeling pretty good about themselves. But again, LSU's defense is on another level from UCLA. So I think it'll be a decent game for a while, but I think LSU
yeah,
will win in the end. So
yeah. And like I said before in the previous podcast, I think LSU's defense is going to be heads over heels better than it was last year.
yeah.
Like last year was just an anomaly. I think they're going to be way better this year. All right, let's get to our last game. Obviously, you guys already know Georgia versus Clemson. Most talked about game. Ray, who you have?
Yeah. Georgia versus Clemson, dude. I got, you know what? That's
First game of the season. It's going hard
um
out the gate.
I'm going to take Clemson. I'm a little hesitant, but I'm going to take Clemson.
I wasn't ready for that one, Ray. I really thought you were going to say Georgia.
Nah, well, Clemson's favored by 3. They're playing at home.
You on your lines, man.
I just
Ray, I'm gonna agree with you, but I really thought you was gonna disagree with me. I'm going with Clemson. You already know how I feel about DJ. I said it. I swear I said it.
Ugalele.
Ugalele. I swear I said it at work, and I was so excited. And I was like, yes, I'm gonna say it at the podcast, and I totally whiffed on it. DJ Ugalele. I have, like I said, hot take of the season. I think he's gonna be in the Heisman runner-up. He's gonna be.
I wouldn't be surprised, and I think Georgia's defense is good, but I don't think their front seven is special.
Yeah.
I think they're okay. I think they Clemson. The over/under is 51. I think that's a good over/under. I think I would probably go slightly under that, to be honest with you. I think Clemson will get a lead in the game and then try to just run the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's gonna be a good game, though. I think it'll be obviously be the best game of the week. So,
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm definitely making sure I'm watching that one.
yeah,
I'm gonna have to flip back and forth between that one and the LSU game too, because I want to see that LSU defense a little bit. You know, that was two of my hot takes. LSU's defense is gonna be way better than it was last year, and DJ I always think I'm gonna get it. I promise, guys. I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna get his last name. But DJ is gonna be in a Heisman runner-up or Heisman voting this year. So that's my two hot takes for this season. Um, Ray, super excited about the games. Any games that I didn't mention already might have some a little bit more intriguing that a little more intrigue for you than most people.
I like the Texas Tech and Houston game. I think it's going to be a pretty good game.
Yeah,
I mean, I had Texas Tech winning, but I
yeah.
have them winning close because they're away. And believe it or not, Texas Tech is only favored by
What?
one over Houston. One.
Wow. And Texas home.
No, they're away, but
Okay.
they're only favored by one, which
Hmm.
tells you right there it should be a really good game. So
There you go. Yeah. Well, that's gonna do it for us today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Check us out. Make sure you go check us out on all our social media and everywhere you can listen to our podcast. So you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Inside the Hashes. You can find us on our website, InsideTheHashes.com. You can find all the great content. We're about to do a fancy draft on Sunday. Ray and I are both in there, so check it. Make sure you go check that out. You're gonna see how I draft. You're gonna see how Ray draft. Ray is low key. Ray is a really good drafter. He never wins, but he's a good drafter. No, he's always in the hunt every
you
year.
you know why though, Jerome? It's not that I don't. Well, it's because I don't make a lot of pickups during the season. I draft my team and I try to use free agency when I need to.
Mm-hmm.
But other guys like in you see it, they'll draft a team and then before they even put their team on the field, they're ready to make moves. I don't do that.
It's happening in my
I
other
like
league
to
right now.
yeah, I like to see how my team plays out before I do all that.
All right, I know this is not an NFL or fantasy podcast, but I got to tell you this right online, and I'm not gonna say who, but it was a trade between two guys in our Air It Out podcast. So if you guys want to know what we're talking about, make sure you check us out. Check that out on Thursday tomorrow. Breaking the fourth wall here tomorrow for us. Thursday at 7 o'clock Eastern time. I'm sorry, 6 o'clock Eastern time. Two of our Air It Out guys. I'm not gonna say who, but they traded. Hear me out. Russell Wilson, and this happened like right before everybody all the cuts and stuff. So keep that in mind. Russell Wilson for Justin Fields, Gus Edwards, and Cam Newton. And Cam Newton literally just got cut.
Yeah.
Was a host.
Well, that is people need to forget about Cam Newton. They need to realize Cam Newton is Cam Newton now, not 5 years ago.
Yeah. So I thought that was just a crazy trade, but that was funny. But like we said, you're gonna check us out on all that. If you want to listen to Air It Out podcast, we have that on our website also. It's at the Hashes. You also can check us out on any podcast platform on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You can listen to that. We have all the podcasts on there, as well as player interviews. A lot of players that are playing these next couple of weeks, either in college or NFL. We have interviewed them. So make sure you go check that out, InsideTheHashes.com. And as always, make sure you go click on that like and subscribe button on our YouTube channel, Inside the Hashes, where you can find all our live podcasts on there. You can do comments, live comments if you like. You can also pick comments in afterwards if you don't watch live. You can watch it out later and comment on what we talked about tonight. What you think? Who you think is gonna be? Who you think is gonna win this upcoming season for the college football season, the first official week, week one. And make sure you click that notification bell as well while you're there, because if you want to know when we're live, you can just click on that. We are normally Wednesday Eastern, 6 o'clock Eastern time, every Wednesday. So, or I'm sorry, 7 o'clock Wednesday. I'm getting in the time different between both podcasts, but 7 o'clock Wednesday each week. You can go check us out on there if you want to watch us live and have your live comment on there as well. So thank you guys for checking us out. I'm your home host, Jerron Jones. We got Ray Roberts right over here. Thank you guys for checking us out. Hope you have a good night. Stay safe. Ray, you stay safe with that storm. That sounds crazy.
It was
I heard
crazy.
I
I
heard
think
it
it's
from my
like,
side.
I think it's just about done now, but it was crazy.
I heard that from my side. So guys, just stay safe.
Yeah.
And before we close, I just want to say this. Please, prayers and thoughts go out to everybody in the New Orleans area. They're they had that Hurricane Ida, I believe it was. So keep your prayers and thoughts with everybody out there. And you guys stay safe. And if you are out there, people are losing their houses, flooding, all that, very similar to Katrina. So please keep if you have family members or somebody from there, please reach out to them, make sure they're okay. Um, Thoughts and prayers to all of them. So thank you guys for checking us out. We'll see you next week, and you have a great week.